Hey, movie lovers, welcome to another movie review. Today, we are going to be reviewing the movie Mirrors and Reflection. It's showing on Bimbo Ademoye YouTube channel. Now, Mirrors and Reflection is another beautiful piece produced by Bimbo Ademoye. We definitely know Bimbo Ademoye to give us really good movies, and this is not far from it, right? Okay, so let's deep dive into the movie. So the movie Mirrors and Reflections, we have a cast of Bimba Ademoye, we have Sonia Uche, we have Clinton Joshua, we also had Osas Egodaro in the movie. We have Bimbo obviously playing the lead character. First of all, I'd like to mention that if you haven't watched the movie, please go to Bimbo Ademoye's YouTube channel to go watch the full movie. It's a 2 hours movie, and it's quite it's quite interesting and quite engaging. So let's deep dive into the movie. That's like what the movie entails and what we think about it. First of all, the movie it was pretty much a story of a twin. One a particular twin was telling this her story, right? How she and her twin sister grow up their life. In as much as they are twins, they have two different personality. One is the outgoing type, and the other one is the quiet one, right? However, as they move, in life, they had like different life experiences and different life challenges, and of course, they have different life goals that they wanted for themselves. Right. Unfortunately, there was a tragedy that happened. The tragedy was more or less the twist of the story. In that tragedy, one of the twins died, and because one of the twins died, the other twin had to assume a role, had to assume the role and identity of the twins that had died, right? And most especially, she took up a role in her legal career. Now, let me take you back a little bit. The twins, one of them was a successful lawyer, while the other one was just, trying to figure out her life. She wasn't successful, she was just going you know, she was just doing different things, and she still was not as successful as her twin sister. And the mother was always comparing, oh, this twin sister, the lawyer is this, is that. Now, unfortunately, during that tragedy, the lawyer died in that tragedy. And that was the twist of the movie. And the sister that was the twin that was still trying to figure out her life took the place of her sister, the successful lawyer, right? And in the twist of events, as you have the twist of event, right? Because the lawyer had the twin lawyer, she's really successful. She wins so many cases, over 20 cases. She's, in her job now. Unfortunately for the other sister, of course, people, because a lot of people didn't know that she had like an identical twin sister, but there were still differences, right? Because still, even as much as we were twins, they will still had differences. The lawyer that died she was left-handed, while this or the other twin that took over her character, or that took over her identity, is right-handed. And she also had a best friend. There was a guy that was questioning her in the office. I know that, just so many things, right? If you haven't seen the movie, please go watch the movie. But what's the lesson in this movie, right? It's more or less like this other twin sister who didn't, couldn't, wasn't achieving much. You could see that she has been running through life, trying to do so many things, yet unable to achieve. She traveled to the UK, came back, yet nothing to show for it. But unfortunately, when her twin sister died, I guess I would say life happened to her, and she had to step up. As much as she took the identity of her twin sister, she still had to step up, right? When things got tough, ordinarily she would have chickened out, run away. But no, this time around, when things got tough, she stayed put. She endured. She ensured that she endured. She stayed through the process. And through that process, she was able to eventually, identify herself. Unfortunately, in as much as it was an unfortunate situation, at the end of the day, she was able to identify herself. She was able to, say, oh, this is what I want to do for myself at the end of the day. Right. She eventually now took up, she started taking life more seriously and decisions of her life more seriously. Were there consequences? Well, the consequences was left to her to face, right? But overall, it was a beautiful movie. It was well delivered. When it comes to the acting, I would say all the cast nailed. They all nailed their performance, right? One thing I was going to point out about this movie was the fashion sense, right? The fashion was on point. Bimbo's fashion was on point. There was another lady, Sunshine's fashion was also beautiful. When you see corporate fashion, classy corporate fashion style, that was what the gave us in this movie, and it was really beautiful to see. Um, the movie was overall it was a really beautiful movie. For people who like the law profession, you really enjoyed this. Even if you don't even like the profession, it just teaches us a lot about our life, and yes, sometimes life can be unfair, but it is what it is, right? We just need to do what we need to do. All right, guys. So, what are we going to rate this movie? I think we'll rate it. We rate it a solid 8.5. 8.5. Yes, I think Bimbo so did an awesome job in this movie. I wasn't, disputing that he was going to do a fantastic job. So yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go watch the movie. It's showing on Bimbo Ademoye TV on YouTube. Please go and watch it. All right, guys. So we'll come your way with another movie review. Thanks for watching. Bye.